Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream. Make him the cutest that I've ever seen. Give him two lips like roses and clover, and tell him that his lonesome nights are over. Sandman, I'm so alone, don't have nobody to call my own. Please turn on your magic beam. Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream.
Good evening and welcome to Nox Mente. Tonight's guest is CW Chanter. The enigmatic CW burst onto the YouTube scene in August of 2015. His purpose? To call shenanigans on the plethora of so-called whistleblowers, disclosure agents, and secret space program participants, and to start his own religion, Well Chanting. During the past 2 years, he has shed light on some of the most prominent storytellers and their quote-unquote truther channels which push their Kool-Aid. CW has made friends and enemies in nearly all alternative groups, yet has the wherewithal to continue fighting the good fight. Like all of us, he is just trying to get to the bottom of this crazy thing we call life. CW is here with us tonight, bringing in the love and pushing out the jive. Dude, welcome to Nox Mente.
Welcome, CW.
Thank you so much for having me. You know, I got to tell you something. I'm known for having a bit of an ego, so it's no surprise I'm going to congratulate these two on having the wherewithal and the wisdom to cast me on their very first episode of Nox Mente. When they told me that they wanted me to be on, I said, "Be on your debut show." Absolutely, I can't wait.
Holy shit.
Know, sure. You may not have as many subscribers as me, but it's the love of the little guy. So if you want to start off your show with a bang and having a big old celebrity like CW Chanter make you feel big to have me on your first show, then I'm so proud to be here with you and share the love with the little guy.
You know, we did you a solid. We said we need to iron out all the kinks before we have someone at CW's level.
That's exactly true. I said that.
Truth.
So you had a tough show or two. Okay, that's understandable. Maybe you had a dry run, but here we are at the very first episode of Nox Mente, and I gotta say, ask you no secrets, I'll tell you no lies.
That's what we're counting on. Oh man. Yeah, this is going to be a good one. I had posted earlier, this is going to be lively.
I'm sure.
So let's get started. So CW, tell us about the world you grow up in, and what we're looking for is, the symbols, the stuff that was on TV, the stuff that kind of formed little CW Chanter.
The icons.
The icons, the natural landscape, the stuff that gave you your early indoctrination.
Well, look, I was born in 1975, so by the time I came of age, it was obviously a mediated media landscape, and growing up, in prior ages, you can hear and know that people grew up and would tell tales of reminiscing about where they were from, the plains of, their hometown, or the mountains or the valleys or the ocean side or whatever defined the geography and the nature of the activities that you would get up to. But for me, I was always defined by, the images that were, put in front of me. So, along with Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny, there's Oscar the Grouch and Kermit the Frog and Mickey Mouse and Snow White and the Seven Dwarves. And
which dwarf do you identify with?
And the rest of the lot. What'd you say?
Which dwarf do you identify with most closely?
Which dwarf do I don't know. I always liked Doc, but I always thought that was only because he like had a name that was like distinguishable. Do you know what I mean? He stood out. Lazy, droopy, sneezy, and then Doc. You know what I mean? So at least you have the. You know what I mean? So if you're gonna go reindeer, go Rudolph or go home. You know what I mean?
Right. No games.
There you go. Or all the games. Who knows? Reindeer games.
Games.
Terrible movie. Terrible movie.
Better
I
pun.
dreamt about it last night. I couldn't get it out of my head.
No way.
I woke up in a cold sweat. Weinstein was all over me. Oh my God. No.
His nose was all red.
I'm still Jesus Christ. The memories triggered.
So a child of the 80s. We got it.
There you go. So yeah, so and that's the way that it goes. In Star Wars, forget about it.
Yep.
And then it's a surreal.
Did you grow up in a large town, small city?
It's hard to say. I grew up in a town that was considered a suburb of New York City. I grew up in New Jersey, probably about 20 or 30 minutes away from the GW Bay. So it was part of the reason that I love New Jersey so much is that it's this weird kind of in between land where depending on how far you want to get away from NYC or Philadelphia, you can really control how much urban environment you want. If you've got the wherewithal to be blessed to have the finances to afford a car. As a teenager, you were able to control how much urban you wanted or how much sprawl. I mean, I remember nights where we would be at 4:00 in the morning in the city, getting whatever we were using to stare up at the sky at 6:00 the next morning in the hills. And that's that was so. It's hard to say whether it was big city or small town. It was a weird place, a little bit of both.
So did you get how much time did you get in a natural setting, like in nature?
Not that much. And that was probably by choice. I think early on, I turned out to be one of those kids that, right around that time was when the first generation of people that were kind of deciding that they were going to dedicate their lives to these things called computers were coming around. So I was one of those first people that said, maybe not the first people, but just kind of, I always gravitated towards inside. If I had my druthers, I would rather be inside in an air-conditioned environment with a book or a TV than I would be in a natural environment getting bugged by mosquitoes.
Oh, right. You're all about the luxury.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Put me inside.
Yes. And then on this bit of background, were you brought into a religion? And if you were, what was it? And did you change at any point to the CW we know now?
What was very, very strange about me is that my mother is Puerto Rican, and she came from a Baptist background. And my father was Jewish. And I think at the time that they got together and had me, they were thinking, like many people of their generation, that they were done with the tropes and, traditions of the past, and they were blazing a new future. But then within 5 or 6 years, despite the fact that kids had just arrived on the scene, were kind of realizing that they wanted to go into 2 different directions. And so basically what happened was my parents kind of came together at a point in their life where I think they were feeling a-religious, and then developed, ironically, once me and my brother came onto the scene, a desire to be grounded in religion. But unfortunately, they came from 2 different backgrounds. An early revelation to me about religion was predicated upon that, where I saw that they were trying to explain to me that, well, Christianity came from Judaism and Jesus was a rabbi, but this side of your family doesn't believe that Jesus was the Son of God, but these people do. And that was a real conflict in my family. So I quickly realized that there's no way in hell, no pun intended, that there's any God in heaven because there's no way in heck that he would invite this kerfuffle that's literally tearing a family apart and putting right into my face the profound evidence that this whole religion thing is a man-made, crock. What are you going to do? Such is life.
So what do you consider yourself now? We know you have your
I'm a Well Chanter. That's what I am.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have enjoyed many of your channeling sessions, I might add.
And chanting.
I'm
sessions.
fantastic. You should join my religion. You should give all this Nox Mente silly stuff up. Give it all up. Just dedicate your life to telling people about me.
I'm
It's
going to
time
shave my
well
head
spent.
tomorrow.
You don't need to. Don't shave your head. That's the great thing.
Oh,
If you shave your head, that's on you. If you want, first of all, it don't. If you want to shave your head. If you don't want to shave your head, don't.
Yes,
I'm not
it's the
asking
free
you
will.
to.
Well, you know, I was coming at it with a respectful purity, you know, to move it clean.
Mistake number one.
Oh Lord.
No.
Okay.
Hey, listen, come dirty, come clean. Just come. That's what I tell
I'm liking the laurels of your religion already.
That's what she said.
So, and we this is our fun little. So, what sign are you?
I am a Leo. Didn't see that one coming, right?
Not at all.
Geez. No way. Whoa.
I wondered, was the sun burning me? No, it's Chanter.
Let me guess. A Leo. Jeez.
Oy, oy, oy. I have Leo moon, so I'm feeling your Leo energy. So this is have you done psychedelics in your life?
Well, unfortunately, due to life circumstances, I have to tell people that anything that I say regarding any use of any illegal substance is completely hypothetical and evidence of a mythological made-up character called CW Chanter who doesn't exist in this timeline or any other.
It's for entertainment purposes only.
I'm playing. My actual name is Morty Feldman. No, it's not. It's CW Chanter. No, it's not. It's something else. I'm not a lawyer, but I am. I'm not licensed in this state or any other, but maybe in somewhere in the United States, possibly. So, does that answer your question? And if it doesn't, have you done psychedelics in your life?
I have. That does answer my question.
There you go. Right. Thank you.
So I want to get into the dreaming part of this now that we have a little bit of your underpinning set of symbols and stuff that makes you up. So tell us about your dream landscape. Do you have a good dream recall? Do you dream in black and white? Do you have color dreams? Give us a general idea of general dreams.
Yeah. Sure. How about this?
CW?
There you go.
Okay.
Oh, no problem. I'm just.
I was hearing you great.
I was holding it gangster style. It was making me feel. No problem. Am I too close now?
Oh.
That's too close? Okay, sorry. No, too soon. How about now? It sounds good now, right? It sounds great. Okay.
Let it roll, baby.
That was the plan.
That is so CW.
No one can even hear me talking to you, so you sound crazy right now.
So are we on live now? CW Chanter for president. CW Chanter for president.
Jeez.
There you go.
All right. The train is back on the track. So CW, tell us about your...
Whoops. Yikes. Start a bitch. Oh my God, it's going to start a bitch.
Oh, man.
I dreamed about this.
So give us an idea about your general dreams, your dream landscape.
I wish I could give you an idea about my general dreams, but my dreams come and my dreamscapes vary with time, depending on a lot of different circumstances. There'll definitely be times where my dream recall is incredible. I've had profound dreams where I've woken up with total recall, and I've been able to recall essentially the meat and potatoes of those experiences as if they were tangible experiences for years later. But then there's also periods of time where I gotta tell you, I'll go for what seems like weeks without any dream recall at all. But when I do dream, it's very vivid. I tend to have a good amount of recall, always in color, you know, and you know, other than that, it's all fair game. There have been a variety of different things that have happened, you know.
So in the dreams you do recall, are you lucid in them? Are you able to realize that you're dreaming and then navigate from there?
I have had, I cannot say that I'm an avid lucid dreamer in the sense that I've perfected or practiced the art of lucid dreaming and can do it. I know that there are people that purport to be able to lucid dream as a kind of general characteristic. Like I can swim, I can ride a bike, I can lucid dream.
Hmm.
I have had lucid dreams. I've had dreams where I've come and become cognizant of the fact that I was in a dream state, that I was in fact dreaming, that I was asleep, and that there were periods where I've had lucid dreams where I've had license because of that fact, and I've some free reign. And there were times when that lucidity just made the nightmarish hellscape of whatever existential nightmare I was experiencing that much more real, because it wasn't some sort of recalled movie or recollected experience, but it was an actual, tangible state of affairs. Do you know what I mean? If that makes sense.
Or some other reference that whomever you tell it to can make to some other thing that you that's unrelated, right? It's like, oh, that's just like that movie, blah blah blah. Yeah, I know.
Well, that's the sort of thing, is that you come from. It's like it's funny. Okay, so we talk about these whistleblowers, and you say, "Oh, why don't you have evidentiary support? Why don't you have evidentiary support?" It would never occur to me, if someone were to come up to me, a friend or a family member were to come up to me and say, "Oh my God, last night I had a dream and I was in the ocean and a tiger shark, or a great white attacked me, and I could see him coming closer, and he ate me alive, and he ate me alive, and he ate me alive, and it was night, and when I woke up, and I knew that if I fell asleep right again, I'd be right there in his jaws." If knowing that people dream, it would, that fantastic vision, that fantastic experience that couldn't possibly have happened and then been lived through, to be consumed by a great white shark, it would never occur to me to say that that person was lying.
Hmm.
I can totally absolutely, you're eaten by a great white shark yesterday. That can happen in dreams. Things happen in dreams. I've had the insane things happen to me in dreams. And it would never occur to me to think that it didn't happen. And it's an experiential reality. But
you're jumping ahead on the questions.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll get into all that. So, in the lucid dreams that you have had, was there a recognizable? So within at least more than 2 or 3, was there anything that was congruent with them that you could recognize as a trigger to say, "Oh, wow, I'm in a dream. I'm dreaming. I'm cognizant here." Was it terror?
Yeah, unfortunately I can. I'll tell you something. I mean, you're talking to a guy that, I can remember. I remember the first dream I ever recalled, and I swear to God, I must have been 2.
Oh, please tell us about it, if you will.
Well, I just, there's only one vision that remains, and it's a vision that in and of itself is not in any way, shape, or form objectively scary, but I remember it as a nightmare. And I remember waking up the next day and, waking up from it knowing that I had experienced something horrific. And the classic thing that your mother tells you, don't worry, it was just a nightmare. Don't worry.
Mm-hmm.
Every once in a while, when you close your eyes and go to sleep, you will find yourself in an existential hellscape where anything could possibly happen to you. Child, you could be chased by actual tangible monsters. They could get you, and they could actually do, oh my God, someone could step on your balls, and it's like it's happening. Right, Jerry? It's like it's
as
happening.
Real as real.
It's a tangible, actual experience. Now, close your eyes and go back to sleep. Right? Oh my God. And the vision, the nightmarish vision, that's my first recalled dream, and unfortunately my first recalled nightmare is there is like a cartoonish image of a 2-year-old boy, and it's not a pan, but it's like, a section of a tree stump, like, like a cross section of a tree stump, like roughly circular, with a pan-like handle attached to it. and the child is enraged, and he's flailing the pan like thing from side to side. He's a vision of freaked out, out of control anger.
Wow.
And it was terrifying. And not only I remember not only being tangibly, I remember being as terrifying a vision as it was sad. The notion that there could be an entity locked in a state of perpetual rage.
How old were you about?
Like 2. Yeah.
That's quite a depth of knowledge for a 2-year-old to
analyze. But when I say, of course, when I say 2, I'm not one of these guys that's going to think that actually means I was 2. I may have been. You know what? It may have been closer to kindergarten.
Yeah,
when I
but still
young. I was young. I was probably 4 when most kids were 5.
Yeah.
I went in early based on the way, of course, because are you going to decide that kids should go, what kids should go into school organically by having, professional educators and teachers and mothers and fathers look at kids and say they're ready for kindergarten? Or are you just going to say, if they're born at this time, so the kid, parents know, time to indoctrinate the kid, send them in. You know what I mean?
That's a pretty, what I find really kind of interesting about that dream, which is the symbolism is awesome, is just that how you processed it, which is impressive. So in
most things about me, I guess.
Yes, well, of course, playing to your Leo-ness.
Yeah. Not because of my Leo-ness, because I'm me.
Exactly. You are the sun in the sky.
That's right. And the earth.
Oh, we're moving it through. Let's go for the galaxy. So what about
there's a whole multiverse out there, sweetheart. Come on, don't fence me in. Hey, listen, hey, check this out.
You and
this
Alfred
on an existential level. Hear me on a metaphysical astral kind of thing. You know what I mean, lady? Technically, hey, give me everything. I swear, baby, I'll give you half. You can get half. Right? On my team to your team. Like, come on, work with me. I'll give you half.
I'm working with you.
You know what I mean? And the sons and the daughters, they're going to love you more. Anyway, hey, come on. So why stop at the multiverse?
I agree. Let's go for it.
That's what I keep on telling them.
So, Chanter, so have you had through lucidity here, have you had anything that you considered an out-of-body experience? Even a near-death experience? They kind of go hand in hand.
At 42 years old, some things are clear, some things are a mush, some things, are remembered, and some things are forgotten. I mean, I don't know what constitutes an out-of-body experience. I mean, I definitely had some experiences that were noted for the dissolving of the sense of physical personal self. So like dislocation or bilocation from the body, the sense of being in 2 places at the same time, or having a sense of gnosis that one is experiencing, some sort of transdimensional reality where one is, both wholly cognizant of what's happening in their core persona or body, as well as being cognizant of the fact that they were in fact, the entire of creation at the same time. Different things. As a small child, I remember once having a dream where I was awake. I mean, I was awake. I awoke I'd fallen asleep, I guess, on a couch in the TV room that had a large bay window right next to it. And I looked out this window for about what felt to me a experience that took place over maybe 15 to 20 minutes. I just looked out this window and saw a panoply of amazing extraterrestrial creatures phase in and phase out of existence in reality in the trees. The trees would go from being
Really?
trees to being these images of these creatures and entities from
Like
they
ants?
weren't from planet Earth. I don't know.
Like the
And then
trees were creatures, or there were creatures in the trees?
the trees were the creatures in the sense that
Like,
if you were to look at if you were to imagine the window to be a two-dimensional screen, you could imagine the images of these entities morphing in and morphing out of the images, the shadows, the lights and lines,
the veil going up
color
and down.
durations and gradients of the trees outside the window. It's
And
crazy.
this was an experience where you were awake within the dream,
I was,
looking
I mean,
out the window.
when I recall that experience, I recall it as though I awoke, and having awoken, I was in a perfect state of consciousness. I didn't
Mm.
feel sleepy. I didn't feel groggy. I felt that I was fully cognizant and aware of everything. I was sharp, as if I
Mhm.
had just laid down on that couch to go to sleep. Do you know what I
Interesting.
mean?
Yeah.
And
This is great.
that's the state in which I had that experience. And in that experience, I remember thinking to myself, "This ain't like a dream. It's like a dream, but there's a
Wow.
characteristic and a set of criterion that makes it distinct from a dream."
How old would you say you were at this point?
Oh, sweet crap! I don't know, like 8, 9. I mean, when it gets to that house, I can tell you that. I mean, I can remember specific memories, and I think if I triangulated off specific memories and life circumstances, I could figure out what actual age I was. I mean, I would guess I was like 8 or 9. I know I wasn't yet pre-adolescent. I know those
Okay.
sort of things weren't on my mind.
Yeah.
I wasn't grown up that way. I was still a kid,
Yeah.
Transformers and GoBots,
Yeah.
Star Wars, lightsabers, and not like cock lightsaber, like just lightsabers.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Anything that was
Yes.
subconscious, totally subconscious. I was still a kid. You know what I mean?
So this actually leads me into, so this, it seems like as a kid before puberty, you you were actually having quite a few profound uh, uh, experiences through lucidity and waking in the dream. Was that a common experience, or were these just anomalies that stick out?
I don't think I would feel comfortable answering that question because I don't think I could gauge an accurate response. You know
Okay.
what I mean?
I
There's some
Yes, I respect
questions that
that.
you feel like you could put it together and kind of formulate something
Yeah.
that you could hazard, quote unquote, hazard a guess. I
Yeah.
would be purely drawing at straws. I would be constructing something out of nothing. If I were to
Yeah.
answer the question, I feel.
Well, just because these are great early experiences, and they are and because they are prepubescent, and the two that I've heard so far are, I mean, they seem advanced in a way. So you mentioned terror. So tell me about nightmares
I
or
bet you tell
terrors.
that to all the boys. Now listen, I'm going to tell you something, honey. If I rewind the Brandon Young, the people that you've had on before me, you cut me off in the past. You know where I was going with that bit. Who haven't you booked? You dirty little people. You and Strip Club Jerry. Jerry, check it out. I've been listening to a lot of Scott Adams. In case you're curious, your new name is Strip Club Jerry. It's going to stick. You can't shake that. You can't shake that.
The train is
Strip
off the
Club
track.
Jerry.
It's ironic
Strip
because
Club Jerry in the middle of Nox Mente. Look at that face. Look at that Strip Club Jerry face. Look at him. That's
Well,
Strip Club
fortunately,
Jerry.
no one in YouTube can see that we're, can
Tell
see
the
him.
kids on Twitter,
Oh my God,
Facebook,
Chanter, you
Instagram,
crazy.
blow it up. He's Strip Club Jerry. That's got legs. I wouldn't fight it, Jerry. I'd stick with that one.
Who's fighting it? I love nicknames.
Good, because you got one, Strip Club Jerry.
Just another dollar at the rack, baby.
It's ironic because I've only been to strip club twice in my life, 3 times maybe.
That's I guess it's ironic, Strip Club Jerry. It's like they call like the little guy or a real tall guy tiny. Or they'll
right.
call the little guy the littlest guy in the group, like, Joe.
Moose or something.
You know what I mean? I guess
Oh my
that's why
God.
we call you strip club Jerry. I guess that's why they call you that everywhere on YouTube from now on. Brandon Young. If I rewind to Brandon Young, first of all, DJ Dave, I was like, yo, I was
Oh
like,
my
what?
God.
Come on. How the Jesus.
Oh,
Really?
oh man. We
That
should
hurt.
just call this our post show.
But that hurt. That was crazy. I was like, yo. And he didn't even tell me anything. You know what I mean? It's like, that's like when I knew people were like done with me. I knew that people were like, CW Chanter, man, I think that guy's like doing heroin in like Fort Lauderdale.
Oh shit.
He's gone. Don't even tell him you're appearing on Nox Mente. DJ Dave didn't even send me a link. I had to find out. I was just like, whoa. I posted like your past podcast and be like, damn, DJ Dave. And Roxy Moose, I was like, fuck. I was like, why don't you guys just go on together? Why don't you, Brandon Young, Jerry, fucking everyone get on together? Have a little show.
We do
Chanter,
that. We
come
do
back
that
to
every
us.
Friday.
Come back
Yeah.
to us. Come back.
There you
Okay.
go. Okay, I'll be good.
All right, back on the train. So let's I want to
Back on the
about
wagon.
yeah, exactly. Stay with us now. I want to talk about nightmares or night terrors, and you had mentioned earlier, you alluded to at least that experience. So could you describe how those play out for you?
I'll tell you. You want to hear the craziest nightmare story? The nightmare
Yes,
story of
we
all
love the
nightmares?
actual stories.
I will tell you, the scariest dream I ever had, and it's a dream that terrifies me to this day. And I'm not even lying. I swear to God, I'm terrified of roller coasters. I don't like heights.
I am too.
I don't like speed. I went on a Ferris wheel, a small Ferris wheel, with my 6-year-old daughter this summer. I experienced it like I was like one of those like I was surviving a like airplane crash. She like didn't care. She goes on roller coasters all the time. She's 6, whatever. But I was on this Ferris wheel with her, and I was gripping her, and I was like turning white. I was dying. I hate heights, and really hate speed. I can't even go on baby roller coasters, you know? So I had this dream. It was this like nightmarish, like kind of hellscape. But there was this kind of, can you hear me?
Yeah.
My phone just did the thing, so okay. So whatever. So anyway, long story short, I'm on this fucking roller coaster. And I'm on the roller coaster. I know I'm on the roller coaster with Satan himself. And he's personified in the form of Joe Pesci. I'm not trying to be cute. I'm not doing a thing. This is the actual dream. And he turns to me and he says, "You want to get off of this thing?" And this is like, we're starting to click up the track, and it's like it's a roller coaster, literally from hell. And I hate roller coasters, and it's a dreamscape. So I have dreams where, like, you're trying to climb out of a house from the basement, and you open up the basement window, and you're 15,000 feet above the ground. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or you're trying to. There's always like rock climbing and travailing and threats of falling to great distances, but whatever. So I'm on this roller coaster. He's like, "You want to get off?" He goes, "You want to get off?" I go, "Yeah, desperately." I go, he goes, "You don't want to experience this even in a dream." He goes, "You don't want to experience this even in a dream." I go, "No." He goes,
wow.
"Would you sell me your soul to get out of this experience even in a dream?" He goes, "You're not going to wake up." He's like, "You're going to experience this unless you do this." And he said, "Would you sell me your soul to avoid this experience?" And I said, "Yes."
Oh,
And the last thing he said to me before I woke up, he said to me, "One thing, kid, remember this. Just because it's a dream doesn't mean it isn't real."
oh my God.
And has your life been a
that's
roller
intense.
coaster since then?
My life has been my life was a roller coaster. Then my life has continued to be a roller coaster. So if anything, all I could say is this: if the promise was I wasn't going to have to see the roller coaster, I guess I get out of the contract based on the fact that he failed to specifically perform his end of the bargain.
That's right. Put your lawyer skills to work here.
Having said that, if the contract was what it was, if one can make an oral contract with the devil, then I suppose I may have. But then again, I don't, it was a fucking dream. So I'm not really that I'm banged up about it because, but
Well,
at the same time,
we'll get into it. It did kind of, it would have been a good segue into the nature of dreams, but that's a little later. But I do, with that, how lucid were you in that dream? Was it a dream? Were you actually cognizant?
I was cognizant. I was cognizant of the fact that I was making a volitional choice. I was having a conversation with an individual, and a choice was presented to me, and I made a cognizant choice. Do you want to avoid this experience at the penalty of relinquishing your soul to the devil? To which I said, yes. Now, if there's a message in that dream, I'm the kind of guy that's kind of basically sitting there saying the message to me is, hey, douchebag, don't sell your soul just to avoid a friggin' roller coaster ride. You know what I mean? Like, it's scary, but deal with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Buck up, little buckaroo.
Yeah, it's rich symbolism for sure. It's rather sobering. I'd never had a dream with the devil personified, so
oh, well, you haven't lived until you've seen. Do you wanna?
No, but I do like how he ended it. That last tagline's a zinger.
Tell me about it. Leave him on a high note. Jesus, no pun intended.
So, okay, well, I think that's probably my favorite nightmare I've heard so far. Like,
I'm glad it was good for you. Oh
yeah, God. You didn't disappoint there. So, have you experienced any kind of paralysis, or where you feel like you're moving in and through your mattress, or you're getting larger or smaller? Any of those kinds of anomalies in the when you're sleeping or coming to or going down?
I don't know that I have.
Okay. Yeah, I think you would. It's very memorable, especially paralysis.
Man, I mean, I may or may not have. I don't know. Nothing specifically comes to mind.
Have you ever heard that you're a sleepwalker or a talker?
Talker, yes. Walker, no.
Okay, I believe the talker part.
Right. That's a nightmare.
So let's get into the woo-woo.
Okay.
Let's get into the woo-woo. Really? You're talking and telling all your secrets?
God, that's a huge nightmare. Can you imagine?
I mean, if you've got secrets, baby. Yeah.
Sweetheart, everyone has secrets. You don't got secrets?
I don't have anything that I'm actually terrified that I would slip out.
Jesus,
I farted at a bar mitzvah? Come on.
No, I'm like worried about, because the crazy shit you can say. I've had some fucked up dreams. I don't know what I'd say in my dream. Cock. Oh, dicks. More. No. You know what I mean? Kick enough. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know what to say.
Oh my God.
You don't
the
know
glory
what
hole
to say.
days. Yeah. I guess I'm a little more free, I suppose.
Like the corners of my mind.
Oh man.
So Jizzy, slimy colored memories. Oh my God, where are we going with this?
Actually, on that note, these are like the best.
On that note,
wet dreams. Have you had those?
Never. And I'll tell you why. I'm convinced that I never had a wet dream because I never got the opportunity to save anything up. Honestly.
Oh man, really?
Oh sure, please, believe you may.
Oh.
It was. I'll tell you this. Listen. Ask me no secrets. I'll tell you no lies. But I was born without a filter. So if you ask me these questions, I'll tell you. I never had a wet dream, and I swear to God, I never had the opportunity. Are you kidding me? By the time I went to bed, by the time I was productive,
yeah.
You know what I mean? I made sure everyone was gone for the work for the office at the end of the day. For God's sakes, are you serious?
I like your vigor.
my housekeeper couldn't have disagreed with you more.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
Jesus.
Oofda.
It would be cheaper just to get stock in Hanes. You know what I mean? So here's my idea if you're in a household of like, I don't know, 4 or 5. I mean, if you got 1 or 2 sons, I mean, this is not going to appeal to you. But if you're one of those households where you got like 6 kids and they're all boys, so here's my idea, Jerry. Check this out. It would be underwear on a roll, like paper towels with toilet paper on a roll, but it would be just like tidy whities on a roll.
I think somebody did that already.
They did?
I thought so. They were like,
I don't think they did.
They were edible panties. They were like edible panties on a roll. I'll find it. I will find it.
No, that's a whole different thing. This is much more industrial. Edible panties on a roll. Okay, fine. Now I'm talking like tidy whities on a roll, like industrial strength. Just pull them off, like I think there's a market.
I think it would be really hard to keep the elastic band separate from the perforation or on the next one.
That's for engineering, Jerry. That's not for creative to
worry about. I know. I'm sorry.
There's some Jerry. They got some asshole in Japan that's going to worry about that shit, honey. That's for the rock shamooses of the world to worry about. This is for this cleanup crew. Let the DJ Days, let the Brandon Youngs of the world try to figure that shit out. Let the Rufus Cats of the universe worry about the elastic issue.
CW.
That's what they call me.
Do you experience senses like smell, other senses besides like sight? Do you like touch? Are you able to read glyphs? Any of that ring a bell?
Well, like in dreams?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, hold on 1 second. I'm just trying to plug in my phone. Hold on.
Cue the elevator music.
I don't have any music. I don't have any music queued up. I'm sorry. I could play the intro again. There he is.
It would have died on us shortly. What was the question? Senses.
Yes.
I don't recall anything specific, but there's no reason for me to doubt that I smell and have every other tactile sense in a dream. I've had dreams that have been indistinguishable to me from reality, and therefore assume that they had olfactory components.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's the memory aspect. So, what about glyphs at all? Reading or taking back kind of left brain information? It's more math, numbers, words.
I know that I've had several times where I've had experiences where within the dream, this goes to the lucidity point, where I've had experiences where I've looked around at tables or amounts or gatherings of data or information and thought to myself in amazement that even though this might just be the product of my mind, how could my mind create something so complicated and not be equally as complicated itself? In the sense that if my mind was able to create this abstract representation of, say, 10,000 Bibles worth of information,
mm-hmm.
then my mind was able to construct and create the image, even though if only for myself and my own experience, of the graphical representation of 10,000 Bibles worth of information. I don't know. It's hard to explain something.
Yeah, well, I agree.
You know what I mean? Right.
Have you ever had anything that felt like you were bringing back like prophetic or dreaming true things that seem like they were going to play out in the future?
No, but what I often have, and especially nowadays, meaning say the last 2 years that I've started this whole process, say over the course of the last 5 years, and especially in the last 2 years, that's come to kind of culmination. I definitely have had experiences where I've had frequent dreams where I woke with an insight.
Oh,
this dream,
nice.
The information transmitted through the dream is X, Y, or Z.
Mm-hmm.
Or waking up and realizing, now that I have gone through that play, that experiential experience, whatever, however you want to characterize it, I realize now that there's no point in me holding on to this grudge, or not just telling this person how I feel about this, or I should do this, or a great idea for a video would be that, different things.
Do you experience, I feel like this is maybe when you experience deja vu, now I'm assuming that you have,
All the time.
What are you able to understand what that is? What is deja vu for you? How do you know?
No, but the deja vu is very frightening for me. I've had experiences that when people casually I've often had experiences that I've thought to myself must be more intense than what other people are calling deja vu, because people be like, "Oh my god, deja vu," be like, whatever. I've had experiences of deja vu where I've been like frightened because it fundamentally puts a question mark about the nature of reality.
Yes.
Into the forefront.
Yes.
There's a disconnect. There's something weird here. There's a glitch.
Are you able to pinpoint when you're having a deja vu in the midst of it and you're trying to hold on to it to access what the information is? Have you been able to pinpoint, like, possibly, was this a dream I had? What is the nucleus of it?
No, I've never successfully done it, though it's tempting to feel like you might. It's like having something on the tip of your tongue, right?
Mm-hmm.
The experiences that I recall that I explain, or that I match to what people describe as, and I assume is also what people are experiencing as quote unquote deja vu, goes like this. I'm coming to a realization. I feel like this is like, I know it's going to come next. I know it's coming next. I knew that was going to happen next. Why? And then I recall that I recalled slightly before that moment. And I recall that I recalled slightly before that moment. And then I start going back and further into the past to try and find out when the loop started.
Mm-hmm.
But you never can quite get to where the loop started. And you can never quite get to where was it that I experienced this exact experience, because where would I have experienced this exact experience but for this tangible location, this moment in space and time, right?
Yes.
It's not as though, I remember, I was out in, it was New Hampshire, 1982, a Tuesday, 10:52. And the sun was at this point in the sky, and I remember thinking to myself, wow, I'm at this moment, and yet I swear to God, it feels exactly like it's fall, 1989. I'm in, Manhasset or whatever it is, somewhere else, some other location. And then, then you're actually in Manhasset or wherever, and then you have that recalled experience. It's bizarre, but it's weird. And you do have this feeling like those people in those movies who are like wandering around like, spontaneous amnesia, or you know what I mean. Has anyone seen my wife? My wife, she was just here a moment ago, and no one, no, like doo doo, and the music starts playing like da 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 da. The camera spins around, you're lost.
So with all this kind of behind us, I want to explore a little bit or dive into maybe the pool of what you think dreams are. What is the experience, and then to further that is, so if we look at memories from what we're calling our waking life, they're no more tangible than a dream. So what are there differences? What is a dream? Is it different than any other experience that's an altered state from this?
I'm almost tempted to say let's not go down this road, because I don't think anyone in the audience is going to be happy with my answer.
Oh, please,
I don't
Chanter.
think you're going to be happy with my answer. I don't think that Trey is going to be happy with my answer.
You're being presumptuous.
Here's what I think. Here's what I honestly think. This is true. While I think that I have had profound insights from dreams. And while I think that dreams are something amazing, and that I know that when I die, part of the experiential things, the moments that I had and experienced and existed through, are not just going to be the humdrum experiences of the day-to-day waking state, but will be these fantastical visions of seeing the devil himself, having a conversation, maybe making a bad business deal, you know what I mean, or whatever it is. So dreams are amazing, dreams are beautiful, but I think I'm at the point now where I'm ready to say to myself that also at the same time, they may also be just the bowel movements of the brain.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
you eat food, you digest food, you take nutrition from the food, and then your body takes the rest of that stuff. And there's a natural mechanism for eliminating waste that's beautiful in its own way, but also in its own way, it's taking a dump, right?
Right.
So, I told people, people were like, "Oh, I had this dream and it meant this, and I dreamed this meant this," and I realized, I stopped watching TV like about an hour before I go to bed at night, and that's because I really quickly realized that if I watch some stupid, dumb, junky TV show just to kind of turn off my brain before I went to bed at night, sure as sugar, that night my dreams would be percolated and peopled by this mundane, stupid show. And God forbid,
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
used to have, for God's sakes, I used to have a girlfriend that used to love to go to sleep with the TV on, and that
Oof.
used to drive me
Me too.
bananas.
Me too.
It
That's
was like
terrible.
trying to live with someone who was like, "Hey, I've got this great idea. How about during breakfast time? What if we slowly poisoned ourselves? Like, what if we hooked ourselves up to an IV and slowly poisoned ourselves during breakfast for, I don't know, it helps me relax." You know what I mean? I just want to go to bed at night. I just want to off my brain. You know what I mean? And I would be sitting there in an existential, and so I'd make all sorts of bargaining, deals, and we got it down to. So for 4 years, I was living with a person who insisted on going to bed with the TV. So we would do things like, I would insist that it would be like nothing with a commercial, right? Like it wouldn't be like you could watch a movie, but it couldn't be something that would have like, it couldn't be on like a broadcast network where they'd interrupt with commercials. That was unacceptable. I held the
Mm-hmm.
line at that. But at the same time, I would go to bed at night with like my hands over my ears, like earmuffs, going, "Oh my God," you know what I mean? Like
Oh, terrible.
Tony Montana is going to be in my fucking dreams tonight for sure. You know?
Well, that also illuminates another aspect of all this, which is why I get into the different layers. There's clearly what I call the filing system, where you're just working out the details of the day, the chatter that's there, and you're filing it away. It plays whatever role it's going to play. Your colleague turns into whatever, Godzilla, and you have all this stuff that's just your personal unconscious. And then there's the otherness, which happens with like waking in the dream, lucidity and OBEs, that kind of, I personally question the reality of that state of consciousness. And so that's what I'm just trying to parse out. But I do, so I personally don't throw all dreams into the whole of what we call dreaming into one category. So, but this is good to know, and I'm with you on all that junk right before bed too.
Yeah.
I bathe in EMF before I go to sleep.
What I like to do is, if you really want to trip yourself out and have a really kind of neo psychedelic experience, this is what I recently did. So I was recently ill. I was feeling sick, and so when I'm sick, one thing that I love to do is this process I call drony voices. There's some people on YouTube that will have like 3 or 4 hour long broadcasts, and they just go on and on and on and on and on. And I call it drony voices.
Mm-hmm.
Ivan Teller is a trance channeler that I love, that does it all the time. And I would just put YouTube on autoplay for Ivan Teller, and I would be like on NyQuil in this kind of fevered state, passing in and out of consciousness, listening to this guy drone on and on and on, talking to all sorts of alien people, and then being asked questions by the only people scarier than Ivan Teller are the people that are participating in his webinar.
Oh my!
It is the most incredible collection of people in the world, and I can't get on. I refuse to fork out the dough. But I'm the hugest Ivan Teller fan. I'm going to Disney World next year, and if I find him, I swear to God, I might attack him. Not in a bad way. I won't be able to resist. Like Jerry, you have no idea. Like if I see Ivan Teller like wandering the streets of Universal Studios, I will be forced to run up to him, embrace him as a brother, refuse to let go.
I don't know who
no matter
Ivan
how
Teller
much,
is.
like, you know what I mean? I refuse to let go. I won't be able to. I can see it in my head. Like I won't be able to. My family will be there, like, let go of this individual. They'll freak out. He won't be able to. You know what I mean? But there's some people like Richard Dolan. Like if I ran up to Richard Dolan and just grabbed him, you could totally see him being like, okay, you're grabbing me. I'm not excited about this experience, but you're obviously excited to see me, so I'll see it through. But Ivan Teller won't be able to hang with that. He'll just freak. I won't let go. It'll be a nightmare. It'll totally be like on all like the newspapers and everything's been crazy. It's gonna happen, Jerry. Oh my God! No,
so we've got some prophecy going on right now.
As I'm telling the story, right now, I'm saying to myself, "Why am I telling this story?" And I'm saying to myself, "Why can I see it so perfectly in my head?" And then I'm thinking to myself, "I am going to Disney World," and I'm thinking to myself, "He goes to Disney World all the time too." And I swear to God, oh my God, I can't believe that the way it's all going to come to a head is that CW Chanter is not going to become famous for being CW Chanter. I'm going to be like that guy that grabbed that other dude at Epcot.
Oh my God.
They like freaked out online for Space Mountain. They were like, oh my God. Well, they were like, it was the craziest thing. There was this one guy, he was walking around, he was kind of acting like he was like, I don't know, I think he was like talking to himself, or he thought he was talking to aliens. And then there was this other guy who grabbed him and wouldn't let go. Meanwhile, like, I know that Nox Mente gets this amazing, huge audience of people, but like half of the audience, like, right, 10 of them are immediately all say to themselves, like, number one, we don't even know who CW Chanter is. And then they're thinking to themselves, like, why is he going on about this guy, Ivan Teller? Who is this guy? Who's Ivan Teller?
Wait, what would happen?
Less subscribers than Nox Mente.
What would happen?
First of all,
if you were hugging
let me tell you
Ivan?
something.
Wait. If you were hugging Ivan and Jay Essex walked by, what would happen? Would be conundrum.
I would stick with Ivan Teller.
Okay.
Jay Essex is so 2016.
Bashar goes by.
First of all, let me tell you. First of all, like, if like, it's like you almost want to do like an SAT word like problem for it. It's like if a 16-year-old girl to Backstreet Boys would be like in, or versus who are the latest kids? Who are those like British guys? Was there like a boy band from Britain or something? These latest guys. I
have no idea.
Like I would know.
Dudes, right? Wasn't there was like this whatever. Anyway, forget the whole analogy. It's done.
All right.
Oh.
Anyway, JS6 was like, I was into JS6 like back in the day. Now I'm on to bigger and better things like Ivan Teller.
Okay.
Meanwhile, I can't get arrested. But whatever. Enough of my problems.
Where are we at with questions?
Is it me?
I lost track.
Should I have watched the earlier programs? Was there like a thing? I mean, you're asking me questions on that. I feel like I'm answering them, but then here's the thing.
This is going into the greatest hits.
No. You ask a question, and I give you an answer, and then there's this like awkward moment afterwards where you kind of both kind of seem to be like,
we never know if you're done.
Was that an answer to our question? Was that his?
It was an answer, dude. It was an answer.
Oh man,
you know what I mean? Like,
so okay, Chanter, come back to me. Come back. So I have one more thing that I like to kind of tie it in with, since we start with kind of the beginning of life. So the end of life, death as a state of consciousness. And you've already told us that dreams are just dreams, and it's just part of a habitual function, maybe nervous system, whatever. What do you think the state of death is in relation to, these other states of consciousness, dreaming and living?
Well, I think death is the cessation of consciousness. I mean, I do not. I would be nice to think that there's an actualized afterlife or post-death experience. I don't believe, but to be honest, if I'm true to my core and standing my integrity, not trying to whitewash it and have a half in, half out situation by making people feel okay by saying the afterlife that you believe in, I kind of believe in too, in a kind of metaphorical sense. I'll just be honest. When I die, I'm going to be dead. And I think that there's all of these fantastical notions about different states of consciousness, or the states of consciousness that one will pass into a post life. That all has to do with the mythology and the fantasy that we tell ourselves while we're alive, to deal with the fact that we know that one day you, I, Strip Club Jerry, we're all gonna be dead as doornails.
Yes.
Fuck yeah.
Well, I don't find that a hard reality, but I do understand the mythology around consciousness and eternity and all that. So I that's what I expected actually to hear from you. Isn't that, are you predictable or what?
Well, if I'm predictable, it's just because I'm very honest with people and very, open. So I like to think that I don't try to fool anybody. So hopefully, God willing, I like to think that I'm coming on 100% all the time. So if you get 5 seconds of me, you've gotten the taste of the whole. So
yeah, no, that was great. And really, at this point is when we open it up to the chat and ask
way ahead of
what
you.
questions.
CW, you're like a
CW.
You're like a walking.
Nothing from Brandon Young. I refuse to answer any of that kiss ass's questions.
I think he's put 3
I
up.
think he's popping up right now. I can see he's popping up right now.
Oh my God.
Yeah, ask CW. The state of consciousness between dreaming and whatever.
Oh no, they're nothing like that. You'll see. Okay, the first question we have is from Brandon.
I refuse to answer. I will not answer that homeboy's question.
You can't be reading the chat. No.
No.
Have you ever dreamed of Law and Order, the TV show? You're not going to answer that? Okay.
Have I ever dreamed of Law and Order, the TV show?
Yes.
No, I've not. And I would have known because I would have heard the dun-dun.
All right.
But it's interesting that he should ask that question, because just yesterday I caught for the first time the new Law and Order True Crime series that they're doing on the Menendez brothers. And that is looking like compelling TV. Me and my wife watched that, and it was great. So
I thought you just said you don't watch when you stopped watching TV.
What did you say?
You were talking about when you stopped watching TV.
Well, before I went to bed, I hardly watch any TV. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So
details, Jerry.
I know. Kalendal. I was doing chat shit. Kalendal asks, "Does CW dream of his own greatness?"
Of course I do. It's funny. I don't actually. It's funny. Can I tell you something? Here's a moment. You're gonna like this. Here's a moment of integrity and honesty. No, my dreams. If I were to characterize, tropes or motifs or themes that run through most of my dreams, the most common theme is weakness, not strength. A very common theme is these experiences. You're running as fast as you can. You're not moving at all. You desperately need to jump from this level to that level to survive, and you know that you're not going to make it, that you can't do it. And you vainly attempt to, only to have the reality that you knew that was going to come unfold. I have to, when I sleep, I always sleep with a pillow between my knees. If I don't sleep with a pillow between my knees, I will have a dream where somebody is crushing my testicles without fail.
Wow. That's
without fail.
Without pleasure,
no pillow
too, right?
between the legs equals dream of someone crushing my testicles.
wow.
But that's a
And
bad.
then you know how I figured out how to sleep with a pillow between my knees. I kept on waking up like, what is this perpetual nightmare of having my testicles crushed? What is this perpetual nightmare of having my testicles crushed? And then one day I woke up just slightly before I kind of came to and realized my nuts were between my thighs, and I was sleeping on my side, and I was crushing my nuts. And then guess what? It was incredible. I put a pillow between my knees, and guess what? The end was endless. And these were vivid nightmares. Mafiosos who I owed money to, women who they were sick and tired of me sexually harassing girls in the workplace. So they were going to grab my balls. All those nightmares went away the minute I started sleeping with a pillow between my knees. So there you go, Carl Jung.
All right. Brandon asks, who is the
no way, this guy again.
Sexiest
How many
woman
people are in the chat? I can't see. Is it just Brandon Calendal?
There was 15 people in chat.
We don't pull your numbers, CW.
There's 5 people. Anyway,
jeez, so, my numbers.
Let's see.
I can't even pull my numbers.
Who's the sexiest man on earth? Woman and man. The Trumps, right?
Not even that question. You know what? I can't answer that question. I'll tell you.
Who asked that question?
It's not a dream-related question. I'm not reading them.
I'll be completely honest. The only one that I could possibly give an answer to would be the male, because look, I'm a married man. I'm not gonna. My wife wouldn't come on to YouTube or any other broadcast and say things about this or that sexiest person ever. Do you know what I mean? The sexiest person in the world is my wife. And as far as the sexiest dude, I couldn't tell you. Because I especially couldn't tell you because I don't stay tuned in. So I don't know. I think of Johnny Depp as Johnny Depp from back in the day. I saw Johnny Depp the other day. It was like with Keith Richards.
He does. He does. He's growing into that.
Tough out here for a bitch.
I would have to go with Benedict Cumberbatch, but whatever.
He's good. He looks, it's also, well, him, it's also the accent.
Right.
I feel like that's cheating.
It is. So Aaron asks, do you dream, have you ever, I guess, what are you getting at? Have you ever dreamt about your monologues in your dreams, or got the idea for your monologues from your dreams? You know what I'm talking about.
There have definitely been moments where I woke up with a kernel, instance, a notion that turned into a video. That there have been moments, especially there have been at least 2 or 3 moments where a week and a half of feeling like a kind of a sense of a writer's block or a creative block or not knowing what to do next have been solved with waking up post a dream and being like, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
There. I'll tell you that I've got, and oftentimes there'll be 2 or 3. Oftentimes the reason my videos are too long, I feel, is that if you think about it, if you look at most of my videos that are really long, they're usually really like 3 videos in one. There's usually like a section where we're talking about this, a section we're talking about that, a section we're talking about the other thing. And those are usually 3 ideas that I just didn't have. I couldn't wait to get them all out. So they all ended up being splurted out into one thing.
Right.
But yeah, so I've had insights and ideas. I'm trying to think if there's any video in particular, or insight or idea in particular, but I can't recall right now.
Okay. Your favorite of mine, JetPat1000 asks, do you ever dream in a courtroom setting?
Yes, I've had dreams both as a defendant, as a witness, on the bench, off the bench. I've had dreams. And, it's funny, I've had many courtroom experiences, but like most attorneys in different types of law require different types of lawyers and different types of things. My type of law, the less time you spend in the courtroom, the better. Because my type of law, the minute you've gone to a situation where people have to go to a jury, randos, you're in trouble. You know what I mean? Like that's like whether it's a divorce, whether it's a contract, or whether it's how much money I owe you, because I slammed into the back of your car. When you get to the point where you're asking fucking randos for their opinion, you're gonna live and die by their decision. Life is lost on meaning. You know what I mean?
So you're an ambulance chaser. quick settlement.
But
kind of
I've had enough experiences in courtrooms to build up the anxieties and tensions that fuel dreams.
Of the prosecutors against you, or
the difference being yelled at by a judge, finding yourself involved in some sort of nightmare scenario. I'm trying to think if there's anything in particular that I recall. My dreams. I'm trying to think if there's anything also, if there's any sort of setting that most often comprises my dreams. There's certain kind of stages. A common theme or image in my dreams is a house that kind of like narrows up like a pyramid, and you're having to climb up to get to somewhere or to get out. But the higher and higher you climb, the more and more precarious your position is, and the more and more you're at a obtuse angle from the ground. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna fall. And then often having to climb to things to try and escape something, and finding yourself at this kind of penultimate position where you can traverse no further. You can't go forward without falling, and you can no longer go back because there's no light, or something fell from behind you, or you're trapped and you're just waiting for the inevitable fall or whatever.
All right, let's see. We have a new person in chat, Gabriel Darling. Welcome. I believe it's a she, asks, do you ever dream of the post-apocalypse?
Yeah, I mean, I've had dreams of end states, which I would call post-apocalyptic.
Mm-hmm.
The sense of dreams of being left behind, occupying a world with no others. Dreams where things have totally fallen apart. So yeah, but nothing. I mean, nothing that I would. I don't recall, but I'm sure it's happened. It's definitely those set pieces are in my memory. Mad Max, whatever, Beyond Thunderdome, whatever. So I'm sure I may have had dreams, but nothing I specifically recall. But I can recall situations or environments that I would describe as post-apocalyptic in the sense that they were after the end. You know what I mean? After an end state.
Okay, great. All right. One more question. I'm done with questions. It's from Kalendal. Have you ever woken up from a dream as if you'd fallen into your bed, or as though you were levitating, or something like that?
Yes, I definitely have had the dreams. I often have dreams. Like I said, I often have dreams of falling. So I've had that experience of you're falling, as you fall into the bed.
Definitely, I've had it a couple times too. Do you know who Jason Horsley is?
I don't know that I do.
Okay, I didn't think so. I will turn you on to him.
I'm looking at Rufus Cat has asked this question. It looks like 3 times. So let's.
The sequential dreams. I didn't. Do you dream in sequential order?
Well, I've had experiences where I've fallen asleep, had a dream, woken from that dream, was cognizant and aware, processed reality to some degree or less degree, went back to sleep and resumed into that dream state. That same scenario, situation, role, what have you. If that answers the question.
Definitely does. Thank you very much. All right. Well, sorry, one more. Brandon's got, I thought that was a joke, Brandon. I'm sorry. He wants to know, have you ever had a dream in Amherst?
Yeah, absolutely. I lived there for a number of years. He's just kissing ass. He's just showing off. He just wants to be like, remember? You and I, we both know about Amherst. This guy.
Well, that's why I didn't read it. I knew it was kind of smart-ass joke.
Seriously.
Thank you, Brandon, for that smart-ass joke.
Yeah, seriously. I have dreams about smart-asses and Porsches.
All right.
God damn it.
Well,
I got dreams of guys in black sunglasses. My messy hair. That's
messy
cool.
Hair.
Long
Yes.
beard?
Messy hair.
So like
Yeah.
ZZ Top?
I'm gonna mess up my hair because I'll be on all like rock and roll. And then I'm
Brandon
gonna
always
like,
has the good hair.
You are
that's it. It's like
rock
here's a pie chart of Brandon Young's day. Wake up, kiss John Rasmus's ass between 9 o'clock and 10. Between the hours of 10 12. Kiss
Oh,
CW
shit.
Chanter's ass. Then back to 1 o'clock
Oh,
to
my
2.
goodness.
Go back to Kiss Chan Rasmus's ass. Tell him that you apologize. Especially you're gonna want to double up on your ass kissing to John Rasmus after the CW shifts, because you're gonna want to be like, so I was gone for that long. The CW Chanter guy is crazy, right? Then you gotta get Douglas Dietrich involved. Even though I heard Douglas Dietrich may have cut Brandon Young off. I don't know. I think there's trouble in paradise there.
I haven't heard from him lately. What's he up to?
Who, Douglas Dietrich or Brandon Young?
Dietrich.
I don't know, but oh my God! First of all, do you know who Dark Journalist just interviewed?
No, that woman.
Gigi Young.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Did you see that shit?
I just
Yes.
That's some shit.
I couldn't.
This
Young
is our
is a-
after hours.
Yeah,
stuff.
okay. So just
Oh, sorry.
that's cool. No, we'll talk about that.
Let's get right into that though.
So,
Yeah,
thank you,
Tell everyone
everybody.
to join us in after hours. Just leave this shit we're gonna
No,
talk.
it's not a public thing.
Oh, it's not.
No, we do it like a podcast later. It's a second podcast.
It's a 3-way afterwards.
Ugh.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. Next week we have Lauda Leon, who's really interesting, and I cannot wait to talk to her too as well. Thank you, CW, for joining us. Thank you, audience, and our studio audience of cats.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you,
Too soon.
Mr. Chanter.
Yeah.
All right,
I'll
have
be
a
right
good
back,
night.
babe. Hold on.